Hey, welcome back, guys. Today I am doing an art challenge, specifically a style challenge. They've been going around and they're kind of like popular right now. I decided that I would like to try this out with my main character from my comic book that's currently on Kickstarter. She is a tiefling or nether-blooded because tiefling is, you know, trademarked by Wizards of the Coast. So instead, she is a nether-blooded child, and she has a lot of really horrible things happen to her in her childhood that really shape her and make her make decisions and grow up much faster than most children have to. And I really appreciate this about her character. She always seems kind of dark and somber, and so it's a little bit hard to make her in certain styles because obviously those styles don't really fit her. But she, I think, is a really powerful character. And anyways, so this is my rendition of her. This is how I normally draw her in the comic book. Obviously her outfit and style will change as she grows up throughout the books. I really don't like the design that I gave for her robe. I've kind of been regretting it ever since I chose it at the beginning, and it's okay. It'll change very, very soon. So I know that currently her colors don't really go together very well. Like her colors, like her hair and her skin and her horns all go together well, but her robes and everything don't really go well together. Anyways, we're moving on to the next one. This is the Rick and Morty styled version of her. I had a lot of fun, but a lot of difficulty with deciding how I would style her, specifically because she has completely black eyes, and in a lot of art styles it's very hard to make it look right. But yeah, so those were the two images that I was basing her off of, that I got like inspiration from. I'll show 2 or 3 images from each artist while I'm working on the project, just to show you guys what I'm looking at when I'm creating her character in their style and what I'm trying to grow off of. Now, another thing I want to touch base on is that I only do watercolor. I don't really ever use any other type of painting, so that's what I did today. If I did stuff on Photoshop, or if I still had Photoshop, I probably would have done it that way. Probably would have been a lot faster and a lot easier to mimic the effects that a lot of cartoon artists have, but it just wasn't feasible for me at this point in time so far. So anyways, I ended up giving her this little background that kind of looks similar to the background on most of the Rick and Morty posters. I think that goes well with her color scheme and kind of makes it less weird that her robe is like so differently colored from the rest of her. Moving on to the next style that I am mimicking is a Ghoulkiss style, and here again I'm going to show you a few images of her work that kind of I worked off of to try and create this. I gave her a gooey eye because that's really common in her artwork, and she does more monster type characters, and I probably should have done more along those lines, but I really don't think that Ineiva is much of a monster. She's just has that lineage. She's not a monster herself, and so I really don't feel like that fit her as a character very well. But I do like the symbolism of stuff coming out of her eyes, because if you read the comic and you get to the second issue, you'll know why that is symbolic and interesting to the story. It's not interesting to the story in the first issue, which is the one that's on Kickstarter currently, but it is definitely a big part of the second and third issue. So yeah, I'm super excited to start drawing those, and once I start drawing those, I'm gonna do a couple videos about drawing comics. I didn't really get to do that when I was working on the first issue because I didn't even think about doing that at the time. But yeah. So anyways, I'm just about done coloring here. And I know that like there's a lot of shiny bubbles on like every one of these pieces, and I promise I will go back and fix them. It's just that at the time that I was doing this, my white gel pen had been over at a friend's house and I completely forgot it there. And they live like an hour away from me. So, I mean, this challenge took a couple days anyways, so, you know, it was fine. Next, I have Audkawa's style. I really like doing styles that are super, super different to mine. Obviously, it's not that different to mine, but she does these very kind of realistic characters that have really wide faces. Like, not in an unattractive way, just like their eyes are kind of far apart and their eyes are really wide and very almond-shaped. And there's a certain sort of wispiness and beauty to her whole style that I've always really loved. She was one of the first artists that I really started following when I was younger. I had found one of my sister's issues of High Fructose, and she was an artist that was mentioned in it, and I just absolutely loved her style. And so I thought I had to do Ineiva in her style, as it's just one of the iconic people that I think of when I think about who inspired me to do art in the first place, and to do more of the kind of creepy art, I guess. Her style isn't necessarily creepy. Gutmouth is definitely more creepy than she is, or Ghoulkiss is also more creepy. But there's something about the wispiness of her characters that kind of makes them look a little creepy and a little inhuman. And so I thought that worked really well for Ineiva because she's not human. She is actually often chastised because of the fact that she's not human. And if you want to find out more about that aspect, you can check out my Kickstarter. But also you can ask me, tweet me, or send stuff to my Facebook page. All my social media is linked down below. So come say hi, because I want to meet you guys and talk to you guys, because I am so excited to share her story. And I think she's a really awesome character, and I really, man, I've been waiting to do this for so long, and it just sucks that it's taking so long. And it's so hard to find the people that I'm looking for, if you know what I mean. Next, I moved on to LavenderTowne. If you don't know, she is a YouTuber and a cartoonist. She does webcomics mainly, and also YouTube, where she does like different style videos and drawing videos and that sort of thing. And she is completely like, or almost completely, does everything on the computer. And she has a really awesome style, something that's very, very different to mine. Very cartoony and more blocky, I guess, in a sense. And so I thought it'd be good to try a style like hers because it is so different from my style, and I thought it would definitely challenge me to think about what are the important characteristics of my character and what really needs to stay and what is fine to go. Like, what details can I leave out and still come across as my character? And so that was kind of interesting, trying to figure that stuff out and seeing if I liked it or not. I don't think I did so well on the coloring of this one, but that's because, like, her coloring style obviously is very different from mine, considering she does everything on the computer. And Ineiva's hair is very dark, and I wasn't really sure how to shade that properly without going to black and dark blue. So yeah, that is probably my fault. But yeah, I definitely felt like it pushed me from where I normally like to go with pieces of her. Also, LavenderTowne is a big inspiration to me, especially as of recently. I was actually like watching her videos while I was drawing and coloring this one. I would really like to become someone like her that not necessarily is like super popular or whatever, but just that is able to live off of her passion and do something really fun and different with it. So this next style that I'm going into is Gutmouth, and Gutmouth has some really interesting, really dark, sort of creepy characters. One of the things that I really liked about the way that she designs characters is that she doesn't really put any shine marks on them. And I don't ever do that because I always feel like if I don't add shine marks, my characters don't look complete, or just my style in general feels incomplete without some sort of highlighting. So it was really different to try and do something where there wasn't as much highlighting and it was more about getting the pure colors across. I also kind of have an issue with this when I go into Lolimoog's style. She also doesn't really use a lot of shine. She does a little bit on the hair, but especially when going into, oh, what do I want to say? When she goes into shaping the face, she just uses shading. She doesn't like ink anything. And that was really difficult for me because I don't generally use a super painterly style. I'm very, I really love inking. I feel like it makes things super easy and fun. But all in all, I thought that Ineiva looked actually the best in Gutmouth style, probably. So next I'm on to Lolimoog style, which I was already talking about. I probably shouldn't have been talking about, but whatever. So I was looking at two of her pieces. They're both with these weird, like, 3 to 1-eyed goat people, and I really liked the way that that looked and how that felt with her character, because if you read the comic, you'll learn more why that's important and why I really want to add that sort of aspect to her character. But I really liked that the 3-eyed goat had these weird swirly eyes, and because her eyes are completely black and I didn't really know how to do that in her style, I thought it'd be fun to instead give her swirly eyes, and I really liked how that came out. Obviously it makes her look a lot more creepy. She definitely doesn't look human at all, but she's not really supposed to look human. And I also really liked how soft her hair and her ears looked. If you can't already tell, she kind of has fawn ears or satyr ears. And I think that they really soften her character, and it just gives her a much more sweet demeanor when you look at her, that she's got these really soft, really fluffy ears and really soft hair. And I think I'd like to use that more in the future, making her hair more soft and more curvy. Not necessarily changing her hair texture completely, because it is supposed to be, for the most part, straight, but maybe making it a little wavy or disheveled because she is in these really dangerous situations and like running. So I feel like I'll probably do that more in the future, and as her character in the beginning of the story wasn't really in danger, she didn't really look like that. She was more groomed and more studious, I guess, in a sense. So, yeah. I made her skin much more pink in this one. I was afraid that if I did too much blue in her face and in her skin, that it would just sort of blend in with her hair, and I really didn't want that, so I made it more contrasting, and then I gave it this full blue background because Lolimoog tends to actually do like nice blended backgrounds, and I didn't do backgrounds for a lot of them, so yeah. Next I do Serendipity. She's another Instagram artist, and her style is super different from mine. Again, it's very cartoony, very dollish. So it's cartoony in a different aspect. It's not super unrealistic, but it's not very realistic either. Like I said, it's very dolly and very cutesy, but also with like a kind of creepy feeling, and I really liked that aspect about her style, that like the eyes are so buggish that they're almost not cute anymore, and they're kind of on the creepy side. And especially because Ineiva doesn't have eyebrows, I thought that made it extra kind of weird looking at her when she's got these giant eyes and no eyebrows. But I really love how soft and pretty it makes her look as well. Ineiva is a really beautiful character, and you guys will see that later on as she grows up, but she really comes into her own as she grows up. Also with Serendipity's style, she doesn't use a lot of highlighting. I end up using a lot of highlighting on my piece of hers because I couldn't get her hair as bright as I wanted it to be in certain spots, so I had to bring that back in that way. But in general, I think she colors with colored pencil based on the texture of her images. I would guess that. It might be something else, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so then she's able to better highlight her images without going back in with pen later. And finally, I have Audra Auclair, which I saved the most room for because her pieces generally are really large. I really took a lot of inspiration for this one from a lot of her ladies that have big swirling hair that are just flying around everywhere, and I thought that that would go nicely with her character. She does look older in this image, and that's partially due to the style that Audra always draws in. Obviously, I probably could have made her look a little younger, but even so, I think she still doesn't look super old in this style either. She does look a little more mature, but definitely not like an adult yet, I don't think. But anyways, I really enjoyed how swirly and soft the hair was again. I definitely need to take more of that and use more of that in my style. I do for some people, and I really love drawing curly, soft hair. There's just such bounciness to it and such beauty to it that I would love to do it more often. But I just generally am not thinking about it when I'm like so focused on making sure the poses are all right and like making sure that everything in the comic is the correct size and the right hand and the right other whatever. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to explain, but there's a panel in my comic that I screwed up where one of the hands is holding another hand. A hand is holding another hand, and it's the wrong way, and I was like, I can't fix it now. So it's going in there, and you know what? It's okay, because mistakes happen, and I'll live with it and I'll learn from it, and that's fine. I decided to shade her hair a little differently than the last few that I had done. I do end up mixing it a little bit, but not very much, because like you saw in the previous sample images that I used to kind of base her off of, a lot of the colors were very individual and not very mixed, and in the hair specifically, and I actually really liked how that looked. It gave the hair more volume and more interest, because it's like so flowy and fills up most of the page, you can't really tell what direction it's going. And so I think that really added to the way that her hair is styled and really gave it a different look to it. I end up not showing you guys all of the background that I color in because my camera kept dying. I have a lot of issues with my camera. It only like records for about 30 minutes before dying, so this one video took a really long time to record because I had to stop every 30 minutes and recharge the battery for my camera. Anyways, so here is after I added all the highlights to every single one of the different styles. I wanted to show you guys each like slowly, individually, because it's kind of hard to take in all at once. I did add a lot, and I mean a lot, of gel pen to certain specific ones because I just didn't know how else to get the highlight in there. I really liked this challenge. It really pushed me in a different direction than I would normally go, and it was very fun to experiment with different styles and try something new. And I think I'll do this again, maybe not with such a complex character, maybe not with so many different styles, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Please check out my Kickstarter. It'll be in the link in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.